Full and uncut versions available on Patreon. Check in the description below.
Greetings once again, Pokemaniacs! Duuz-Diz-Din back again with more of the Pokemon Adventures manga, where previously X managed to make his way solo to the Team Flare secret hideout in Jiaseng Town. Though oddly enough, of all people, he encounters Emma there, who decides to help him out. Bryony takes charge of things, sending away Aliana and Mabel, as well as knocking out Celosia because of, well, the strain of using Aegislash as much as she had been doing. It was obviously taking a toll, and Celosia too much of a workaholic to really stop. Does that make Bryony a good person? In a sense. But she also opens the HQ doors for X and Emma. Why? Hard to say. But X ends up separated from Emma, ending up right in front of Lysander of all people, who shows off his Mega Ring with the keystone taken from Karina, Mega evolving his Gyarados in the process. Meanwhile, Y, Tierno, and Shauna have finished training with Gherkin even thinking that Y could be a successor as well. But Trevor lets everyone know that X has left, while Emma, still exploring the Team Flare base, comes face to face with a very large man named AZ. So as X battles it out with Lysander, Xerneas manages to transform back into its normal form thanks to X's intervention. Y and the others team up with the Kalos gym leaders in order to make their way to the Team Flare hideout, where Y even decides to include the Rhyhorn that was her mother's into her team. Meanwhile, Xerneas has lost too much energy thanks to the Absorber using its power to fuel the ultimate weapon. So Lysander decides, now's as good a time to activate it as any. But Y and the others arrive just in time for the ultimate weapon to emerge from the depths of Jiaseng Town. And as the flower-like device starts to bloom, as it were, Y and the other gym leaders use their bodies, essentially, to keep it from opening up. Seeing this, Bryony goes on the attack, while Olympia tells Trevor and the others to get in and stop the weapon at all costs, as her psychic powers have shown her the most dreadful future. They manage to get in thanks to Clement, helping them stay out of the reach of Bryony, making their way through the incinerator, which thankfully never turned on. I got real worried about that for a while there. But on their way in, they encounter Emma and AZ, who tells his story, that long ago in ancient times he was a king, who during a massive conflict in the Pokemon world in this area, ended up losing his Floette. He created the device in order to revive her, which very powerful all things considered, even bestowing a bit of immortality of sorts to both he and his Floette. But AZ's anger got the best of him, and so he decided to stop the conflict around them by ending the lives of everyone involved. And thus his Floette, not about that life, left him. So as they make their way to the control room, they find X has been defeated by Lysander. So Trevor jumps in, filled with the willies from Lysander, but doing his best to get Lysander away from the key that could stop the ultimate weapon. Tierno, Shauna, and Trevor do their best to remove the key, but though they manage to get it out, the weapon still activates, causing massive destruction all across Kalos, while AC falls into despair at the sight of his mistake being repeated again. Xerneas advises that though the ultimate weapon has been fired, if he joins hands with a trainer, all can be made right. But is that trainer X? We'll have to see. So join me, won't you? Alright, jumping into Pokemon Adventures X and Y Volume 5/60 if you're going by the complete order. Got a lot going on here, so especially showing Malva in command of Yveltal. A bit of a spoiler there, but it seems like we've teamed up with Xerneas at some point. Yeah, so I guess we'll have to see how this showdown actually shows down. But a good cover page. Oh yeah, I always forget that Absol has a Mega Evolution. Okay, so we're still showing the lineup of Pokemon like this? Really? That still gets me. And it's one thing for the others because Trevor, Tierno, and Shauna only seem to have one Pokemon apiece, but Y still has her Frogadier. I don't know, I feel like I'm missing something when it comes to this, roll call kind of layout. And now we have everyone here. The Mega Evolution successors, the gym leaders. Wait a minute. Where's Clemon and Grant? They didn't include them in the roll call or the character correlation chart. That's weird. And shoot, no offense to like Ramos, Wolfric, Valerie, and Olympia, but Grant's kind of an aside, but I would think at least Clemont would be involved. Shoot, out of all the gym leaders in this series, behind Karina, Clemont has been the most involved. Shoot, X's Manectric comes from Clemont. And Cena and Dexio really haven't shown up either. I thought they'd be more involved too. And what happened to Malva and Diantha? I hope we find out that too. Because I know Malva was just trying to stall, but he just up and disappeared. I guess to get Yveltal? But where? Alright, adventure number 33. Rhyhorn charges. Ooh, Rhyhorn's actually go to battle. AZ questions Xerneas, saying, place you inside a Pokeball? Are you saying that you're choosing to become someone's Pokemon, Xerneas? Xerneas says, first, we had better get out of here. Place the children on my back. AZ does just that, setting the passed out Clemont. Why is everybody passed out? I actually don't know. Because it looks like Clemont and X was already passed out, but it looks like Emma's passed out too. Did I miss something? But a voice calls out, not so fast. It's Jurassic with the Malamar. I've been reading up on what happens in the Pokemon X and Y anime. There's a freaking evil Malamar. Like, one of the few just outright evil Pokemon out there, and it's the freaking Malamar. But as his Malamar attacks, he says, you're not going anywhere. As AZ is accosted by Malamar, he says, Xerneas, I'll take care of him. Xerneas then looks up where the passed out Trevor, Tierna, and Shauna are. Okay, I guess they were all knocked out by the ultimate weapon firing. My god. So Xerneas just jumps up and just, in the process of smashing through the floor, catches them on his horns. My god. Jurassic says, you fool! But Lysander says, don't worry, Jurassic. Lysander arrives with his Gyarados. Jurassic questions, Master Lysander, are you alright? Lysander smiles, saying, the ultimate weapon has White Kalos Clean. What can Xerneas do on its own? And it says White Kalos Clean. Meanwhile, Bryony lands, laughing. A beautiful blooming poisonous flower. I lost those children, but they were only a low-level threat. She calls out Unit A, and several Team Flare grunts come rising out of the woodwork just all around. Like, were they hiding like in the stones and stuff? They come dashing over, and Bryony commands them, get in contact with the surveillance team in the other towns and report back to me on the purification progress. They all say yes. Bryony then says, everyone is here. It appears that the suit was worth the $5 million in research and development. Oh, their suits protected them from the... Oh! Okay, I thought the suit was just a fashion statement. I didn't know it literally prevents them from being wiped out. Dang. But then Y approaches, saying, who knew the red suits had invented such an effective defense system? Chosen one my foot. They're just the ones who had enough money to join Team Flare. You think being rich gives you the right to discriminate against poorer people? That classism is the name of the game here. Bryony shouts, why not? Wealthy people have the luxury to consider their future and choose the best option for themselves. But that isn't important now. How is it that you are still alive? Yeah, this is the one storyline where mass genocide was the name of the game. And we've had others, but my god. Why, it says Olympia and Valerie's Pokemon protected me. As we see the other gym leaders in a protective dome put up by Slowking and Mr. Mime. Bryony says, impossible. They might have been able to protect themselves from the blast, but they would have been powerless against the force of the ultimate weapon. Y tells her, I don't know. No, I don't know how, and I don't care. She brings out her Rhyhorn, who goes charging in on Bryony. Bryony brings out her Bisharp, saying, this doesn't make sense. Is there some variable I hadn't considered. Maybe it was because they removed the key just in time. So you have Bisharp going at it with Rhyhorn. Valerie says, "We have to help too," to the other gym leaders. But suddenly, the ground gives way under them. Grant says, "The ground!" As, Xerneas comes bursting out from underneath, leaving Bryony and Y in shock. And thankfully, the other gym leaders being protected by Olympia's Meowstick, female variant. Meanwhile, AZ has been restrained by Zerosic's Malamar, watched over by Lysander's Pyro. Zerosic goes to the control panel saying, "I'm receiving a ton of reports from surveillance teams in other towns." "What?" Lysander questions, "What's wrong?" Zerosic grows visibly panicked, saying, the blast caused damage to Route 10, Route 11, Route 12, Shallow City, Anisar City, Calamarian City, Silent City, and a section of Perfume Palace. But as for getting rid of all the people and Pokemon, the ultimate weapon has produced 0 results. Lysander says, "What?" While AZ speaks up saying, "There are several reasons for that. First, you activated the ultimate weapon when only 70% of Xerneas' life force had been infused into the machine. Second, Xerneas reversed the flow of its life force when it turned back into a tree. Third, the gym leaders were keeping the ultimate weapon Blossom from opening, so you fired before it had fully bloomed. And finally, the children pulled out the key at the last minute. The people you looked down upon and considered weak and exploitable launched a desperate resistance and foiled your egotistical scheme. So it's all property damage, no casualties." Nice! Which, under normal circumstances, it would be all casualties, 0 property damage. But, I don't know. I still feel like I don't fully understand how this ultimate weapon works, so we're just gonna roll with it. Lysander thinks of this for a moment, then bitterly closes his eyes, saying, "Pitiful. I can't believe I'm hearing this from the man who ruled Kalos 300 years ago." See, I thought it was longer than that. I didn't know it was just 300 years. I mean, that's still a long time. But still, AZ, you were disgusted by the weakling, warmongering inhabitants then. You yourself attempted to rid Kalos of them all. I assumed we would have an understanding. AZ tells him, "In that you were mistaken." Lysander scoffs, "You're just incapable of following through with a plan." Meanwhile, out up topside, as Xerneas just kind of drops the kids off of its hordes, Bryony is radioed in by someone saying, now I understand. My miscalculation reduced the likelihood of our success." Yeah, I guess she assumed that their attempts wouldn't be, fruitful, and yet it was. Trevor wakes up, calling out in pain, huh? When did we come outside?" Though he's shocked when he sees Xerneas kneeling down before him. X puts a hand on Trevor's shoulder, saying, "Trevor, shh." Trevor says, "X," as Xerneas begins looking around at everyone present topside. X tells everyone who is now awake, Xerneas is deciding which of us is worthy of capturing it. Trevor says, "What?" X tells them, "I heard Xerneas speaking just before we came back out. He remembers Xerneas' words. There are still people here. Place me inside a Pokeball." X says, "You see?" Y says, "You mean Xerneas is on our side?" X tells her, "I don't know if Xerneas is on our side or not, but it certainly seems to want to save Kalos." Y gets angry, saying, "Huh? That's what I'd call on our side." Y brandishes a Pokeball, saying, "Okay, I'll go first," only for another Pokeball to come whizzing past her. But I'm not sure if it just, hits Xerneas in the head, or Xerneas actively just pushes it to the side. Y looks back, seeing Bryony, saying, "No good. If I could only capture Xerneas, that would compensate for my failure. Bisharp, Unit A, attack Xerneas. We'll try to capture it again after we weaken it." That's not good. Yeah, hearing that Xerneas is at the ready to be captured just, got Bryony at the ready to just go and get it herself. Meanwhile, Y says, "Stand back, everyone," with Shauna questioning, "What are you gonna do?" Y tells them, "If Xerneas is willing to help us fight Team Flare, and we don't have time to wait for it to choose one of us. So I'll try and command it to defeat Team Flare now." Shauna says, "That's impossible." But Y tells her, "If Xerneas follows my commands, that means it's chosen me, right?" But Trevor calls out, "But you don't know what commands to give it. You don't know what moves Xerneas can use. But Woah leaps up using her wingsuit, saying, yes, I do. Xerneas, please listen to me. If you are willing to accept me and use your move. He says, okay, here goes. Use Geomancy. Geomancy? Wait, how does she... Pokédex? The Pokédex always seems to know things that I feel like the Pokédex shouldn't really know. But Xerneas' horns start to activate. Bryony says, it's changed into active mode. And Xerneas gets ready. Woah calls out, Horn Leech! And Xerneas uses his horns to essentially send the Team Flare members and their Pokemon blasting off, leaving them piled up in a clump on the floor. Shauna questions, how? But I think X shows off several pieces of paper, I guess laminated from Alexa, since you see her image there. Tierno says, is that the Lumio City Press article from 3 years ago that Alexa gave us? Shauna reads it saying, there was one time when Xerneas, the Pokemon that bestowed life, became the one that life was bestowed upon. It absorbed energy from the earth to enhance its own power with a beautiful move that emitted a rainbow-colored light. And the people of ancient times called that move Geomancy. Oh, just kind of quotes that verbatim. I didn't realize, I thought it was Shauna still reading for a second. Shauna says, no way, Woah remembered all that? Trevor then questions, what about Horn Leech? Woah says, I saw Xerneas use it during the battle in Vanderbilt Town against Yveltal. She then pats Xerneas on the head saying, thank you, Xerneas. Actually, I think I'll call you Zerzer from now. Let's battle together. Shoot. Okay, I gotta admit, this is kind of impressive that she just immediately take charge like that. My God. See, I thought it was gonna be X, because X kind of just gets everything. But at the same time, X has gotten all this Mega Evolution stuff, so I guess Woah gets the Legendary. That's the you know what? Shake hands. Pretty good pairing. Pretty good agreement right there. It's always a surprise who ends up commanding the Legendary when it comes to stuff like this. Trevor watches on in awe, thinking to himself, I can't believe Woah read Alexa's article so many times that she memorized it. I guess she was really trying hard to figure out why her hometown was destroyed and what Team Flare was up to. Woah then tells Xerneas, come on, let's destroy the ultimate weapon next. That way, they'll never be able to use it again. But a voice calls out, you really think you can destroy it? Oh, it's Malva having arrived with Yveltal. Okay, so that's happening. And it's the cover. Oh, I didn't think it was going to be within the first chapter, though. My God. Malva says, then again, you did manage to stop the ultimate weapon from firing properly and get Xerneas back. Tierno is shocked, saying, Yveltal? Shauna calls out, that woman. She's the news reporter who kidnapped Diantha. Malva calls out, go Yveltal, protect the ultimate weapon. While Woah says, Zerzer, attack! And so, once again, Xerneas and Yveltal clash. Although, how did Malva get Yveltal on her side? Honestly, we don't even know why they were fighting to begin with. And is it because they're opposites, or is there more to it than that? As Trevor watches the battle, he thinks, Xerneas and Yveltal. This is the second time I've seen them battle each other. But one thing is different this time. Xerneas is with Woah now, and Yveltal is taking orders from Team Flare's Malva. Woah calls out, where's Diantha? But Malva just laughs. Do you really think I'd tell you that? I'll give you a hint though. Why do you think I moved underground before? Did she know that Yveltal was underground somewhere? Because Yveltal was sleeping in a cocoon underneath Xerneas in its tree form. What? It was literally right below it? I kept wondering where it probably was, but I'd never even considered that it was right underneath. That is wild. Was it like that in the games? Let me know, because that is surreal to find out. Then again, I guess it would depend on if you're playing X or if you're playing Y. Oh, wait. Okay, I'm looking up information on that. I didn't know evolution stones were transformed into Mega Stones because of the ultimate weapon. That is wild. Okay. Wow. See, I actually kind of love that Pokemon has been doing this thing of making it so that because of specific very powerful Pokemon, their power has affected certain regions and made it so that other Pokemon are now able to evolve or use moves or abilities or do certain things. That is cool. Did they ever explain that in the manga, I wonder? I guess we'll see. Yeah. Hearing that, Trevor says, wait, what? Yeah, Trevor. Yeah. Malva then says, as you can see, I successfully captured Yveltal, so I'm sure you can make an educated guess about what happened to Diantha. Time for us to wipe out the riffraff. Oblivion awaits. The voice calls out, hold it! Cease fire, Zarosik says. Boss's orders. As we see Mabel and Aliana carrying Bryony. Did Bryony get knocked out? Was she caught up in that one attack? Okay, I didn't see her in it, but I guess she was. And, okay, stuff is happening, but I'm just not noticing it, I guess. Aliana says, Yveltal and Xerneas are equally powerful, so no matter how long you battle, you'll never win. While Mabel says, both Pokemon know that if they fight, it will be the beginning of a never-ending battle. Zarosik says, of course, you're free to go ahead and keep fighting, if you have that willpower to fight forever. Y turns to Xerneas saying, Zerzer, is that true? Xerneas says, let's retreat for now. Hold on to me, okay? And so, Xerneas, using its ability with everyone else holding onto its legs, that includes the gym leaders and all of our kids, just whoop, up into the air, just goes flying off. Okay then. I didn't know it could fly, but hey, legendary Pokemon, they can do whatever it wants. Malva just watches. Oh my god, what? What? Blue? What? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What? Okay, I gotta admit, I was not actually expecting him to just show up like this. What? Okay. Huh. Oh, so he can Mega Evolve his Charizard, maybe? Dude, okay. As Blue watches him fly off, he says to himself, never-ending battle, huh? Wrong. There must be some way to end their battle. Third Pokemon after X and Y is Z. If that Pokemon actually exists. Ooh. Oh, okay. And so because of that, we got Blue Charizard. Nice. And it's been so long since we actually seen an outright protagonist of so far back. Just holy crap. Don't worry, buddy. You get to go on vacation in the next story arc. Wait, no. The story arc after that. Sun and Moon is until that point. No, I don't think you get to see him in Red and Sun and Moon, which is a shame because that's like their most canonical appearance after all this time. And they're aged up so much. I'm still just kind of caught off guard. Like, they're blue. Just there. Shoot, at this point, he'd probably be in his freaking 20s? Early 20s by now. Oh man, holy crap. I'm still so taken off guard. Oh, hey, we're back to the current location and all that. Current location, Geosang Town. A town lined with mysterious stones and encircled by strange ruins of old. Okay. Adventure number 54, Pincer Glares. Ooh. Okay. We pick up with Blue walking away from the ultimate weapon. He looks down into a hole saying, Red Suits and Yveltal have all left. It's safe to come out now, Diantha. And we have Blue's Rhyperior bring Diantha out of the hole. Okay. Did he manage to save her at the last minute? And I know that, when I kept wondering when Gherkin mentioned someone from Kanto training in Mega Evolution, I wasn't sure if we'd actually see anyone yet. We see a flashback of when Blue had his Rhyperior dig underground, saying that was close. We barely escaped the explosion. An exhausted Diantha says, I'm ashamed of myself. The gym leaders and children of Vanderbilt Town are risking their lives, and I'm hiding in a hole. Blue, helping her off of Rhyperior's back, says, don't be so hard on yourself. First there was the ultimate weapon, and then the legendary X and Y Pokemon appeared, and Xerneas and Yveltal began fighting. You're hurt. It's better that you didn't take part in those battles. Diantha says, don't say that. I'm still the Pokemon League champion of Kalos, you know. Blue says, right, you're no longer the child star who's skilled at Pokemon battles. But this was a surprise. I never imagined anyone would... Oh, no, it's Diantha saying, but this was a surprise. I never imagined anyone would come to help out, least of all the overseas student who I battled so long ago. Oh, overseas student. That's interesting. So they battled previously. Huh. Blue says, you should thank my rapier for sensing your presence. Diantha says, it wasn't on your team when I fought you the last time, was it? A newcomer? What were you doing beneath Route 8 anyway? Blue tells her, I heard that the legendary Pokemon Z could be found in a deep, dark abyss, so I decided to add it to my team. Diantha says, Z. Zygarde? Zygarde. 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 I'm getting kind of excited. Although, that's not the form of it that I'm interested in. It all depends on how it appears because, well, let's just see, Zygarde comes in many forms, and more things about it are explained in Sun and Moon. But Blue says, yep, I'll explain what happened. My grandfather got an urgent call from a senior researcher telling him that Xerneas and Yveltal had returned. Oh, looks like Rowan. Huh. Interesting. He also learned of the existence of a third Pokemon named Zygarde. It was very similar to a case I was familiar with that involved the legendary Pokemon. Oh, Groudon and Kyogre, and then you also had Rayquaza. Gotcha. He knows that there tends to always be a kind of middleman of sorts to quell the battle that presides over the balance, Blue explains. But when I arrived in Kalos, no one knew a thing about the reappearance of Xerneas and Yveltal. On top of that, I had the strange feeling that I was being watched all the time. That's why you went back into cloak mode. And Blue in that cloak, I still can't get over that both the anime and the manga just have him wearing that cloak. And nobody else really does that, too. Blue questions, tell me, what is going on in Kalos? The answer says, well, one lengthy explanation later, Blue says, Team Flare is in control of everything? Diantha explains, we managed to find Xerneas, who had transformed into a tree, and we needed a countermeasure, so Karina, Master Gherkin, and I searched for Yveltal's cocoon all over Kalos while evading Team Flare. We came across some rumors during our search, a legend about the possibility that Xerneas' legendary counterpart was hibernating in the same place. Someone had seen a pale blue tree in a forest. Oh, that's why they ended up in a forest. They weren't searching for Xerneas, they were searching for Yveltal. Okay, that explains a lot. I thought it was just happenstance that they arrived in that moment. So we looked into it, and we were convinced that Xerneas was sleeping in the forest by Route 8, and that Yveltal must be nearby. Blue questions, and you were right? Diantha says, yes, but come to think of it, our discovery was all part of their plan. They spread those rumors themselves to humiliate us. No, to humiliate me and to further their scheme. But we still have hope. Team Flare has been stopped for now. We still have time to launch a counterattack. Blue questions, but how? Diantha tells him, first I need to join my friends. We have to talk about Zygarde in our next move. Will you help me, Blue? Blue tells her, of course, hop on, as they both board Charizard. We pick up on Route 15 at the Lost Hotel. Lost Hotel? You have to know roller skating tricks in order to access it? Oh, that's wild. But like everything else in Kalos, it's in shambles right now. We see X and the gang. Underground, maybe? I think their stomachs are rumbling. A voice then calls out, here you are. The main dish of the day. It's Sibold of the Kalos Elite Four. He tells the kids, the sauce is made from organic originally grown lepa berries, which I stewed for an entire day. I let the sauce rest overnight and then, yum, please, eat up while it's still warm. Although, an unimpressed Shauna says, okay, but when we started eating while you were blathering on about the appetizers, you got mad. You told us it was rude not to listen to your spiel, and but Tierno says, shh. Sibold says, why the long face? Isn't the lepa berry sauce to your liking? Trevor says, oh yes, it's delicious. Sibold says, of course it is. I handpicked only the smallest, tenderest, most flavorful berries. Trevor says, sorry for all the trouble. Sibold says, it's only natural for a master chef to expend a great deal of effort on every aspect of a meal. I'll go prepare its dessert. Enjoy. They all say, thank you, thank you. Jonathan almost passes out saying, he's exhausting. I says, I'm so stressed out I can't even taste the food. While Trevor says, but he personally cooking all this dishes just for us. You ought to be grateful. Chana says, sure, and we would be under normal circumstances. But the first thing he said to us when we met him was, do you really consider Pokemon battles an art form? And we have a flashback of Sibold saying, do you really consider Pokemon battles to be an art form? Y says, an art form? Well, Shauna says, isn't calling it an art a bit pretentious? Sibold yells, are you thinking critically to arrive at a rational answer to my question? Now, cooking is undoubtedly an art in which the practitioner, the chef, studies hard and long and hard to acquire their knowledge and continually hone their skills in the pursuit of excellence to create original dishes that satisfy and please all five senses of the dining in every possible way, just like a Pokemon trainer, which means Pokemon battles are an art. I swear to God, he's about to tell me art is an explosion. That's what it sounds like. If you get the reference, good on you. Y is munching down, saying he certainly makes it hard for us to tell him that his food is good. It is, but enter Ramos, saying, please bear with him. They say, Ramos. Ramos tells them, this is just his way of paying his respect to you. And as a member of the Elite Four, the regret he feels for falling short during this incident is much greater than ours as gym leader. He's trying to lighten your load by cooking a gourmet meal for you because you're stuck in hiding for now. Trina says, well, he's not helping. Trina says, stuck in hiding, but Team Flare knows where we are. Ramos says, I'm not worried about that. Now that Y has gotten a hold of Xerneas, they'll think twice before attacking you. X then questions, because once they start fighting, the battle will never stop? Ramos says, yes, but I'm more worried about the false rumors spread by Team Flare to the media and the populace. They're claiming that the explosion was caused by the gym leaders and the children of Vanderbilt Town. Trevor says, what? Oh, we even see a tantrum. Get in here, big guy. Ramos explains, that's why we haven't dared to go near the towns that have been destroyed. Instead of been spending our time rescuing people with our personal Pokemon. Trevor says, that's crazy. Y questions Ramos, would it be okay if we went out to the surrounding fields? Ramos questions, why do you want to go there? Y says, to capture a new Pokemon that could Mega Evolve to fight alongside me. Ramos says, on the think of it, you've got to attend the Mega Evolution succession ceremony after this, don't you? Chana says, that's right, Y. You have to do your hair before the ceremony. Hey, trim her hair? I mean, her hair looks good now. Only just now getting used to her hair at this length. Ramos says, looking at X, in that case, you'll need a bodyguard. But X doesn't respond. Trevor thinks to himself, they're still acting all awkward with each other. Why hasn't chewed out X for acting on his own like she usually does? X doesn't know what to expect her and how to behave. What is Y thinking? We then see Gherkin having transferred his keystone into a Mega Ring. He says, done. There's a knock at his door saying, right on time. No, I don't like the look. It's maybe over time it'll grow on me a little bit, but I already was kind of bummed out she lost the long hair. But the short hair was good enough, but now this is a little too short for her face, in my opinion. Well, we'll see. She looked like she got a 5 head. I think it's just because it goes so high up on her forehead now. I says, Gherkin says, I, Gherkin, manager of the Keystone, present to you, and as the successor, you must be sincere, you must be true to your word, you must be full of spirit, and thus today I bestow the Mega Ring upon Giovanni Gabene. Y puts on the Mega Ring and says, thank you very much. And while X is still sulking in the back, everyone else cheers. Shauna says, Gherkin has officially recognized you as the trainer worthy of being his successor. Gherkin says, that's right, Shawnee. Y then asks, but are you sure about this? I was told this is your last keystone. Gherkin shows off his clothes saying, that's all right. I have to face the facts. I won't be around forever. And most importantly, I've always believed that the keystone should be passed down to the younger generation. In addition, at the moment, the Kalos region is in a state of chaos. But most of all, I'm passing on the keystone because you are a trainer with enough skill to train a Mega Evolution Pokemon. Y holds up her keystone saying, it's an honor, sir. I'll do my best to live up to it. She then grabs X by the collar, saying, okay, bodyguard, let's go. X looks at her worried, and she says, what's with the look? I said I was going out to catch a new Pokemon, didn't I? As they make their way into the tall grass. Or is it marshland? She says, oh, now, what kind of Pokemon should I catch? X says, beats me. As she looks around, she says, I have to consider the battle I'm going to be fighting rather than my personal preferences, right? X says, beats me. Y stops and sighs, then says, you expect me to guess what you're thinking? You rush to the enemy headquarters alone, but you're scared that I'm going to scold you about it. So, you've put a lid on your feelings, and now you're pushing everyone away. Am I right or am I right? Oh, you see Trevor and his Floette listening in as Y says, to be honest, I was so mad I felt like slapping you in the face. Why didn't you ask us to come with you? I can't believe you didn't trust us. But now I've been chosen as successor, and Master Gherkin has told me that maturity is one of the qualifications. I'm not going to let my emotions get the better of me anymore. Trevor is kind of shocked by this, but X says nothing. Y looks at him, then questions, so tell me, how did your battle against Lysander go? X explains, it was powerful. Best I could do was to release Xerneas. There was no match against him in actual battle. Y says, so you lost your confidence again? What are you going to do now? Give up? Put your tail between your legs and run away from them? X says, you're being awfully blunt. Y takes a moment and then says, X, do you remember the day we first met? You had just moved to Vanderville Town. And we see the Machoke movers moving everything into the house. Grace calls out from the next house over. Why, don't get in the way of the movers. Saddle up Rhyhorn. We're going to train. Y says, okay. And she puts a saddle on Rhyhorn. X comes over saying, wow, you're a Rhyhorn racer? Y says, uh-huh. X says, you don't look too happy about it, though. I bet you don't like training for races. Y says, training? Well, actually, I don't like Rhyhorn racing at all. X questions, you don't want to race? Why don't you say so then? Y says, I can't. My mother, she starts flailing around the reins, slapping Rhyhorn in the face, saying, my mother is a famous racer. Everybody just expects me to follow in her footsteps. But Rhyhorn gets pissed and goes racing off. Y screams, and X brings out his Kangaskhan, blocking off the Rhyhorn's path, stopping it from running. Y is flung into the air. The little Kangaskhan manages to leap up and catch her. X says, whoa, are you alright? Y says, thanks. His little Kanga goes back in the pouch. That is the most active baby Kangaskhan I've ever seen. Y says, your Pokemon skills are amazing. X blushes, saying, yep, I'm gonna compete in the junior trainer tournament in this town next year. Y says, the junior trainer tournament? That's even more amazing. X says, I love Pokemon battles. I want to keep training and battling forever. I'm so sure of it that I don't mind telling the whole entire world. Oh, he used to be like black. If Rhyhorn racing isn't really your thing, I hope you find something that you love so much that you're happy to announce it to everyone someday. Y smiles, saying, uh-huh. They shake hands, Y saying, thanks, and nice to meet you. Next door neighbor, voice calls out, hey, Y. Oh, someone moved in next door. Why, who's that? Trevor, Shauna, Tierna. Cut to present day, Y saying, if you think I'm blunt now, it's because of what you said to me then. I learned to be clear about what I care about. See, one thing I also love about this series is they always make a note of how characters influence who they are now. That was hardly ever present in the game, but a lot of the characters are so influenced by others. You know, you saw it with Ruby and Sapphire, you saw it with Diamond and Pearl. It's always a thing in this series. X takes a moment and says, sorry, promise I'll never act on my own again. Trevor, come out. I know you're there. He always knows. Trevor comes over and X says, let me see that list of Mega Evolution Pokemon. Trevor rummages through his backpack saying, sure. As X looks through the list, he says, I'll go with Pinsir. And you should go with Absol. Why? Trevor questions, why those two? X says, no special reason. Just that together they'll create a well-balanced team. Now I just need a bug-type Pokemon. As I continue to search, X says, I hope we can find one in time. Only for a Pinsir to literally be looking down on them from overhead. That is the most shonen-looking Pinsir I've ever seen in my life. And I'm not the biggest fan of Pinsir. I'm not saying I hate it. Rarely do I hate any Pokemon, but just with the arms folded and just really throwing me off for some reason. We pick up with Diantha and Blue flying overhead on their Charizard. Oh, Blue's Charizard. Diantha says, Blue, there's one more thing I need you to know. Blue questions, what's that? Diantha says, we ended up in a 3-on-3 battle for the tree. On our side, we had a young trainer named X, Karina, and me. On Team Flare's side, there was Malva, the scientist Celosia, and a woman wearing a black suit called Essentia. If we fight them again, well, Malva is a formidable foe, but at least I know what to expect from her. I have a rough idea about the scientist's Pokemon trainer abilities as well. However, I don't understand the one in the black suit. According to Master Gherkin, the suit possesses a transformation function. Okay, so has she recently been in contact with Gherkin? Because, she went from being underground to being with Blue at the site. So she had to have called Gherkin or something, because she wasn't there for the transformation, was she? Yeah, no. And how else would she contact Gherkin? We know nothing about the woman who wears it. She might be the turning point in our subsequent battles against them. Blue says, I see. Diantha says, Essentia. Who is underneath that black mask? Oh, wait, what? Blaine got a Mega Evolution ring as well? Oh, snap. We have a flashback to Blaine being told by Gherkin, must be sincere. You must be true to your word. You must be full of spirit. Blaine, you have mastered the skills you need. I sow you with the gear needed for the Mega Evolution once again. Once again? Huh. Blaine takes the ring saying, thank you, Gherkin. Gherkin says, stop that, it's embarrassing. Call me Mr. Gherkin or something. Bill says, no, I believe we need to draw a clear line there. Gherkin says, if you say so, come on, wear it. Well, do you feel it? As Bill puts on the ring, he says, yes, I feel it. My brother is here in Kalos, far stronger than the first time I wore it when Blue gave it to me after returning from his study abroad in Kalos. Oh, okay, because of Blaine's connection to Mewtwo. Interesting. Right, just like back then. Gherkin says, you said you used Entei's flame to burn away the bond that was forced on you two by the power of science. You thought freeing each other from the fake bond was the best way for both of you. I want to say Bill. Blaine says, yes, but it felt as if a huge hole had opened in my heart, as if I had lost half of my body. I was filled with self-disgust at how selfish I had been. But the moment I wore the Mega Rune, it felt as if that hole had been filled again, as if someone was calling for me. Followed that voice, came to Kalos, and visited you. Gherkin says, and you even agreed to let me train you and go through the succession ceremony. You're a man of science. I won't be mushy and get straight to the point. Mewtwo desires to Mega Evolve, and in order to do that, it needs a human. Its desire reached you through the Mega Rune. You have gotten a hold of the strength to live up to Mewtwo's expectations through the training here. That is why you were able to clearly sense where it is right now. Yeah, we haven't seen Mewtwo in such a long time. Where was he when the kids got frozen and then unfrozen? I don't remember. There is no need for you to hesitate. Go and capture Mewtwo with the Pokeball. You must recreate the bond between human and Pokemon in the right way. And we see Blaine approach Mewtwo with a Master Ball. Catch him. Oh snap! Yeah, this is kind of cool. And not too long ago, we got to see friggin' Sabrina, and now getting to see Blaine, too? And we are getting all the gym leaders from way back when. Oh, what? We pick up with Blaine, heavily injured. Who are these girls? The 4 leaders of the Battle Mansion? Okay. I think I remember, briefly reading up on these girls. Oh, yeah, they're the colorful girls. You have Nita with yellow hair, Evelyn with blue, Dana with pink, and Morgan with green. Interesting. Oh, they're sisters. Interesting. And I wasn't expecting to get new characters this far in. All right. Okay, now I have to get these girls' names straight. Nita says, oh, he regained consciousness. Dana says, Nita, go and get Morgan. Nita says, gotcha, Dana. Blaine asks, where am I? Okay, the eldest of the 4 Battle Chatelaine sisters enters. Morgan, saying, the Battle Mansion, a battle facility located at Kylo City. We are the owners of the facility, the Battle Chatelaine sisters. I am Morgan, the eldest sister. I'm Dana, the second oldest. I'm Evelyn, the third sister. And I'm Nita, the youngest. We found you in a river nearby. I found you when we carried you here. Maybe you were blown away by the explosive blast yesterday, fell into the river upstream and got washed down here. Blaine says, yes, that's right. Then I must have been unconscious for a whole day. Dana says, did you come to Kalos to sightsee? Evelyn says, but Kalos must be very far from Kanto. Blaine says, how did you know I was from Kanto? Morgan says, excuse me for asking, but aren't you Mr. Blaine, the gym leader of Cinnabar Island? Blaine questions, what? Like, why does young women know me? I ain't trying to catch a case here. Although, aside from probably Nita and Evelyn, they look like they're... I honestly shouldn't phrase it like that. Morgan says, as the owner of the Battle Mansion, we always do our research on skilled trainers from other regions and their battles. Evelyn says, I would have loved to see your exhibition match against Claire. Oh, an exhibition match against Claire? Ooh, cool. Oh, yeah, from way back when, right. Blaine says, that's a very old story. To tell you the truth, I started living with my long-lost brother at a village upstream from here. Yesterday morning, I headed out to a town nearby to buy groceries, and that explosion occurred. Hey, did he stop being the gym leader of Cinnabar? I must go back to the village. But he struggles in trying to get up. Morgan tells him, you mustn't move yet. The doctor strictly said you were to stay in bed for some time. And Nita says, and even if you wanted to go back, the trains and roads have been blocked, so there's no way of leaving Cloud City. Blaine looks over to Rapidash in the Pokeball saying, I have a Rapidash, I could cross the mountain with it. Evelyn says, the city is surrounded by tall rocky mountains. Even if you had a Rapidash. I think it's Dana who says, and with you're writhing in pain from just trying to sit up. You'd never be able to bear the journey. Blaine thinks about it for a moment and then says, may I make a phone call? He makes a phone call. The person says, hello? Blaine says, what kind of bread can I be eaten? The person says, Blaine, where are you? Oh yeah, these are the people who were training with Master Gherkin. Okay, that's what happened with the other trainees. And I kind of wonder why they weren't around during that battle in the tower. Versus Blaine, where are you? Blaine says, I was blown away by the blast yesterday and can't leave Cloud City. Are you alright? Peche? God, all these new names. I wasn't expecting this person to have a name. Okay, Gherkin students. The one with the ponytail is Illy. The one with glasses is Or. And the one with the bowl cut is Peche. Okay. Peche is French for peach. Illy is French for island. And Or is French for gold. Okay, interesting. Peche says, I'm fine. I received a call from Illy at Snowbell City. And trucks that seem to be driven by Team Flare have entered Route 20. Blaine is shocked, saying, Team Flare have gone to the village? Oh, what village? What village did they go to? Alright, current location, Route 15, Broadway. The path has become popular hangout of the wild and directionless kids of Lumia City. The Lumios gang, I gotcha. The Lost Hotel. This once famous hotel clings to the shade of its former glory after Trey left it in ruins. Oh, dang. But maybe it was always bound for ruin. Alright, next is adventure number 35. Scizor Defend. Ooh, Scizor. We pick up at the Pokemon Village. Okay. Zerosic is racing throughout the field. This isn't good. There's a massive crash where Malva is watching, and Zerosic runs up saying, there he is. But Malva tells him, shh, the boss is training. Don't distract him. She's mostly admiring those rippling back muscle. Dude, yo! He has his Mega Gyarados use Waterfall against his main Fu? Is that still? Yeah, main Fu. Yeah. Malva says, amazing. Such abundant rage. Rage that will purify this world for certain. Lysander then looks back saying, I didn't notice you there, Malva. Zerosic. Malva says, here you go, as she hands over a towel. She's totally feeling that. He says, you've done a good job, Malva. Gathering the keystones, discovering the cocoon, capturing Yveltal. Only you could have achieved all that. Malva says, It's an honor to serve you, sir. You're trying to restore the true beauty of Kalos, Master Lysander. I was able to accomplish those tasks because I share your goal. Lysander then says, what happened to Diantha? But obviously this struck a chord with her. Like, and all that and all you care about is Diantha. She coldly says, probably at the bottom of the abyss by now. Zerasic, obviously nervous about the conversation, says nothing. As Lysander says, I see. What did you want, Zerasic? Zerasic says, it appears that Professor Sycamore is making his move now that he has learned your identity. You had better stay hidden in the village for a little longer. Hey, what is this place? Pokemon Village? Pokemon live in hiding from people due to numerous regions. The unknown dungeon is located here. Wolfric often visits here. Interesting. And there's quite a few places that don't seem to be featured in the anime either, which is kind of odd. Usually it's been that the anime has quite an abundance of location, but some of them seem to have been left out here. I'm surprised they'd be allowed to stay here. Oh, there's a Zoroark too. I kept waiting for a Zoroark to be featured in the previous story arc. Yeah, it's from Black and White, specifically White 2. Why did it never show up? I guess they couldn't figure out how to squeeze it in? I kept on expecting En's Zoroa to evolve or something, but it never showed up. I say that because it's one of my favorite Pokemon! Yeah! It's so weird to have just this little cameo as the introduction to one of my favorites. It's like, come on, guys. Oh well. Malva says, are you telling our boss to run and hide? We could just go to the underground laboratory of the cafe. Zerasi says, it's not that simple. Sycamore's 2 assistants are keeping watch on that location, and some of the locals are beginning to put 2 and 2 together between the explosion that occurred the other day and Team Flare. We had better take precautions. Lysander says, fine by me. This village is only inhabited by Pokemon who were abandoned by heartless humans. We could hide here. Which still begs the question, why are you allowed here? Zerasic says, and the 4 scientists? Or is it Lysander saying that? Yeah, he's probably saying that. Zerasic says, they're working on Pokeballs we stole from the factory. Lysander says, I'll be resting in the cave. Malva says, yes, sir. Zerasic says, take your time. We then cut to Route 15, Runway, where we see Y very much trying to catch a Absol. See, this is always how you know what we're getting towards the end. Start getting a lot of Pokemon I like. X says, remember why? Don't use any fairy type moves, okay? Y says, I remember. I have to tire it out with Swift or Quick Attack, right? Trevor says, Absol are rare in this area, aren't they? Trina says, uh-huh. It appeared the moment we decided we wanted to capture one, and it hasn't tried to escape or attack since. It's almost as if it wants Y. Oh, Shauna says it's almost as if it wants Y to capture it. You can always tell when Shauna's speaking. Absol's just standing there, taking the attacks. I do find myself kind of wondering. I mean, there's no real chance that it is the same Absol, but it'd be kind of wild if it was the same Absol that appeared in Ruby and Sapphire. I kind of want it to be that Absol, though it might not be. I guess because so many Pokemon, so many characters have started just randomly reappearing. Honestly, I thought Bill was going to be the only cameo from another story arc. I'm now like thinking like, oh, is it maybe that one Absol? X tells them, the dark type disaster Pokemon Absol. That makes it sound like it causes disaster. But there's another theory that it got its name because it foretells an impending disaster and appears there before it happens. There are even stories about it cooperating with people to prevent disasters from occurring. As Sylveon keeps just whipping at Absol. Y says, in other words, you came here because you wanted to put a stop to the ultimate weapon, right? That and the rest of the Team Flare's evil scheme. Then fight Team Flare with me. Let's save Kalos from destruction together. Please, lend me your power, she says, tossing her Pokeball. And she catches Absol. Nice! Everyone cheers as she says, yes! She holds out the Pokeball saying, what do you think, X? X says, it's too early to celebrate. We have to find Absolite, the Mega Stone that enables Absol to Mega Evolve. Y gets all grumpy saying, can't you at least give me a pat on the back for capturing it? Tierno says, there. But yeah, it's kind of obvious these Pokemon want to be caught so they can Mega Evolve, and they can only do it with a trainer. I love how Shauna's just in the back, just being like, oh, well, yaddy yaddy. Trevor says, it's your turn now, X. You need to find a Pinsir. X gives a nod. Trevor says, Pinsir don't live in this area. But X says, but I noticed one at the top of that cliff a moment ago. Oh, so he did see the Pinsir watching them. I can still hear it. A low scraping cry. Trevor says, let's go see, and he tries to go rushing off with Y. But X stops them both. They turn, Y asking, what? X says, I'll be fine on my own. You can go back to the hotel. Y says, hey, you promised not to go off by yourself anymore. X says, but I'm just going to catch a Pinsir. Shauna says, no, the five of us have to stick together at all times. Yep, those were the rules you agreed to. Don't agree to the rules if you're not going to follow. Y then pushes him forward, saying, come on, it'll run away if we don't hurry. As they make their way up, they're surprised. Oh, not sure how I should feel about this, but we see a downed Scyther. Poor guy. Well, did the Pinsir do this? Is it dead? Trevor says, look, it's just lying there. Y questions, is it alive? X examines it, saying, it is. These scars look old. It wasn't these injuries that made it collapse. What's wrong with it? It hasn't fainted. But X then notices something and jumps out of the way as Pinsir almost gets it. Oh, Jesus. X brings out his Quilladin. I finally remembered the name, saying, Miriso, Vine Whip. And Quilladin wraps up the Pinsir. Oh, and binds it to some trees. Dang, good work. Trevor says, it's the Pinsir you wanted to catch. Now it can't get away. But X just kind of stands there and then turns to everyone else saying, I can do the rest myself. You can go back to the Lost Hotel now. Shauna says, huh? Y says, quit babbling and throw the Pokeball already. Yeah, why is he being like this? Has he never actually caught a Pokemon? But okay, X takes a moment, sighs, and then just very limply chucks the Pokeball, and it just bounces off the ground over the head of the Pinsir and just down. Everyone else is stunned by this. X throws another Pokeball. The Pinsir catches it in its Pinsir and just crushes it. Everyone else says behind him, what's he doing? Why is he throwing the ball so weirdly? Don't tell me he sucks at catching Pokemon. Come to think of it, we've never seen X catch a Pokemon, have we? Oh no! He sucks at catching Pokemon! I never realized that! Because we kept seeing Blake catch Pokemon off screen, so I'm just like, okay, whatever. I never even considered that maybe he wasn't good at this. Suddenly a voice calls out, the way you throw it is one thing, but you're never going to hit that Pokemon if you keep closing your eyes. X looks up, questioning this voice, as we see Blue descending with Diantha on the back of Charizard. Y calls out, Diantha, you're all right. As she goes running over, Diantha dismounts Charizard, saying, I'm sorry, not only was I no help to you, but I caused you to worry too. Y then asks, who's this guy? Diantha says, an old friend who came to help me. Meet Blue. Blue then says, Diantha, skip the formalities. Distracting him from his Pokemon capture. Oh no! Blue sees someone in need of training. Just like, gotta train this boy up. Oh boy. Oh no. Oh, two moody boys. No. Diantha says, okay. I'll go see Gherkin then. Blue then says, you must be X. What are you waiting for? Throw the ball already. X grows angry, but Pinsir manages to break free of its bindings. Blue then says, I told you, you wasted too much time. X doesn't respond. How does Blue keep ending up in these situations with people who are just very stubborn when it comes to catching Pokemon? Wait, then again, what was his title again? It's been so long. He's not the catcher. No, he's the trainer. Well, I guess that comes to also training other people. Man, titles haven't really come up too much lately. I wonder what X's title is going to be. Pinsir then grabs a boulder and starts chucking it at everybody. Everybody has to move out of the way. Blue then asks, seems angry. Do you know why? X says, we attacked it, but it hasn't tried to run. As a matter of fact, it's trying to drive us away. It's so single-minded, angry, full of negative energy, and those old scars. X then seems to realize something. Or was it Blue saying all that? X seems to realize something and starts to approach the pincer. Y calls out to him as Shauna says it's dangerous. And as X approaches, Pincer tries to get him, but X dodges. X says, I'm not the one you should be fighting, Pincer. It's him. X tells Pincer, you're angry, aren't you? You won't allow any people to be here. I think I understand how you feel. You've got a lot of frustration inside you. How'd you like to let off some steam? Blue says, interesting. I accept your challenge. And he brings out Scizor! See, I cheat because they're from different generations. I do love when characters have some of my favorite Pokemon in their team. X commands Pincer to use Storm Throw, but Pincer manages to dodge. Scizor manages to dodge. Y questions, what is X doing now? Trina says, Pincer is taking orders from X. Trevor then thinks to himself, that new guy chose a similar bug-type Pokemon with similar pincing moves. That's kind of childish of him, but it seems to have calmed Pincer down. Pincer tries to go for Scizor's midsection, but Scizor manages to keep it from getting crushed. Blue says, not bad for a pickup team. I nurtured my Scizor since it was a Scyther. We fought thousands of battles together, so I can tell that your Pincer will let go of Scizor first. X stops for a moment. Then puts his hand to Pincer's back, says, have you had enough? You've had enough, haven't you? And Pincer, let's go. Blue questions, you're going to give up? X says, I've accomplished what I set out to do. Blue says, I see. With a smile, X goes over to Pincer saying, I want to visit your friend. Would that be okay? Pincer gives a nod. Oh, their old rival. Was that it? As they go over to the Scyther, Trevor says, this Pokemon is Pincer's rival? Y questions, what do you mean? X says, the scars. The scars on Scyther are all Pincer's scars, and the scars on Pincer are all cuts from a sharp claw. Oh, that's why Pincer was okay with fighting with Scizor, because of all form of Scyther. Blue overlooks the Scyther, and X questions, do you know what state this Pokemon is in? Blue says, it seems to be drained of its life force. Was it the ultimate weapon? Or was it Yveltal? X questions, its life force? Trevor says, Team Flare talked about draining Xerneas' life force. Blue explains, which is basically one's will to live. We can't heal that at a Pokemon Center with an item. As long as Scyther has the slightest survival instinct, his life force will regenerate by itself. But it'll take a long time. Once that's finished, you'll be able to treat its other injuries. Trevor says, does this have something to do with the ultimate weapon? Y says, why is it just this Scyther? The other wild Pokemon in the area all seem fine. Blue explains, this must have been their field of honor. Maybe they were both training hard for their duel, but Scyther fell victim to the ultimate weapon on its way here. X seems to be shocked. And Blue turns saying, what? X? Ali, in an interesting moment, gives a genuine smile saying, field of honor. You don't look like a romantic. Blue smiles saying, this Pokemon will be my rival for life. You understand that sentiment if you'd ever met a person you felt that way about. I know who he's got in mind for that. No wonder they go vacationing together. Although Shauna said cheesy. Pincer walks away in tears. Well, tears welling up in his eyes as Blue says, by the way, aren't you going to place Pincer inside a Pokeball? Otherwise, it'll walk away. X holds out a ball saying, could you do it for me? I keep closing my eyes whenever I throw the ball. Blue says, don't take it personally. Blue throws the ball and Pincer just dodges aptly, catches the ball, and then throws it to its pincers and crushes it. Oh, dang. X says, oh, looks like you can't catch it either, even throwing the Pokeball with perfect pitching form. He says in a monotone voice, much to Blue's shock. X explains, Pincer, how would you like to come with us until your friend Scyther recovers? We'll be fighting against a powerful enemy. I'm sure it'll be great training for you. And so they all gather around Pincer. I guess that is more X's style. He isn't so much about catching Pokemon. Now, if a Pokemon wants to come with him, sure, fine, whatever. But that's about it. I wonder, will he release Pincer when this is all over? Cause I don't know, maybe. I mean, with that, how many Pokemon does he have? Kangaskhan, Mariso, Salome, Alak, Garma, and The pincer. Okay, that's about 6. Yeah. Huh. I wonder if we'll see the Scyther actually recover. I wonder if Y'll take the Scyther. Oh, that would be interesting. Evolve it into a Scizor. And I'm pretty sure Scissor can Mega Evolve, right? Yeah, Scissor can Mega Evolve. Okay, suddenly Trevor gets a ringing on his hollow whatever. Trevor says, it's a message from Professor Sycamore. As he answers, we see Sycamore doing the full bow, saying, please forgive me, Trevor. When you told me back in Lumia City that you thought there was something suspicious about Lysander, I completely dismissed it. But after I saw the recording of you entering the headquarters of Team Flare, I realized I was wrong. Recording? Who was recording that? Oh, Dexio and Cena. Where were they? Oh my god, they actually are like ninjas. Sycamore says, never in my wildest dreams did I imagine that Lysander could be the leader of Team Flare. I know I can't make up for my error, but I want to try. I've asked Cena and Dexio to keep an eye on Lysander Cafe. They haven't seen hide nor hair of any Team Flare members or Lysander through. I'm currently on a train headed for Hurryway Town. Would it be possible for you to meet me in Anastar City? There's so much I want to discuss with you. So many things I need to research further. I must meet with you as soon as possible. Please send me a reply ASAP. Y says, he seems like he's in a big hurry. Her says, I have to reply to him. Thank you for contacting us. We're currently on Route 15 where Shauna says, update on our progress can wait. Just decide on a place and time for us to meet with him. X walks off saying, we can do that while we're headed down to Anastar. Let's go. I'm surprised that he agreed with that. Y says, hey, X, shouldn't you be making decisions without us? You shouldn't be making decisions without us. While Shauna says, that's no different from taking action on your own. What is this place? We pick up in Anastar City. Oh, it's the gym? Yeah, we don't really get to see many of the gyms, which is kind of a bummer. That's the one thing I'm kind of, like, not too cool with. It's like, oh, I actually want to see the gyms. Sycamore says, Anastar City's famous landmark, the sundial. No one really knows what this object is. Some say it's a mysterious meteor that fell from outer space. We must learn its secrets once and for all. That, and only that, can make up for how I misled those children and rectify my oversight. We see him rappelling down the sundial? Hey, I thought that was the gym. Oh no, the gym is something completely different. Oh, okay. Well, that is interesting. The sundial. I wonder what that is all about. Current location, Route 15, Brunway. This path has become a popular hangout for the wild and directionless use of Lumio City. So, are we gonna get the Lumios gang here? Okay. Alright, and the final chapter of this video is adventure number 36, Hawlucha Attacks. I love Hawlucha. Not my favorite, but just because it was on Ash's team. I always thought its design looked wacky, but seeing it in action, I warmed up to it a lot. We pick up in Anastar City, where Sycamore is on top of the sundial with a Squirtle? Okay. He says, the sundial, clock that enables you to determine the time by casting a shadow on the ground. But we live in a technologically advanced time now, and even the inhabitants of Anastar City don't use the sundial to tell time anymore. During this season, the time is 6 p.m. if the tip of the shadow reaches the gym. It's correct. Okay, so it does correlate to the gym to a certain degree. This is no ordinary sundial. My wave meter proves that. A unique energy wave emitted from the sundial increases in power at exactly 8 p.m. every day. In that sense, I guess you could truly call this sundial a clock. Here in its presence, it's as if I can feel its breath and heartbeat, as if there is some kind of living thing near me. What? Living thing? Suddenly, something comes fluttering past him. Says, whoa, what a surprise. A flock of Spritzy as he watches them flow. Oh my god, holy shit. Holy crap. I did not notice that at all at first. Oh my. That took me so off guard. Oh no, that's so mean. Why would you do that? He says, I have 2 more hours. I must hurry, as he doesn't realize that the Spritzy are running from something. What? Oh, maybe the massive 50% Zygarde that's just behind the goddamn massive sundial. Oh my god. Oh man, that took me so off guard because I'm looking at this image so clearly, and I'm just thinking, okay, no, I'm not registering what's behind all of this? And like, as my brain clicks, I'm just like, okay. Oh man, why is it just there? What you up to, Zygarde? Okay, we pick back up at the Lost Hotel. Ramos says, what? You're telling me you let the children go to Anastar City on their own? Are you aware of their current situation? Blue says, they have to brief me, but I've heard there's a number of Team Flare who wears a suit with a transformation function. I heard there's a member of Team Flare who wears a suit with a transformation function. Whether that person is among us. Ramos says, are you accusing us of being members of Team Flare? Dancer says, calm down, Ramos. Blue tells him, it's a possibility, and if they're in danger no matter where they are, I think it would be best for them to go meet with Professor Sycamore. I told my Charizard and Rhyperior to accompany them, just to be on the safe side. Okay. And the girl named Y apologized to you. We see that as they were walking off, Y says, a successor is meant to behave honestly and maturely, but we're leaving without telling them. Well, Shauna pats her on the back saying, that's not the only thing you lack as a successor. Rude. But Blue, from his experience, is just like, look, these kids got Pokédexes, they'll be fine. I wonder if he even knows they have Pokédexes. The Pokédexes have featured the least amount in this story arc than any other story arc, and it's really taken me off guard. It's just like, tell me about the Pokemon! Gherkin says, so you came to convey this message to us? Blue says, yes, Gherkin. Ramos questions, Gherkin, is he a pupil of yours? Gherkin laughs, saying, Blue is one of the 17 trainers I taught Mega Evolution to. It's solemnly up to me to decide whether a trainer is worthy or not, so I apologize for his bad manners. And funny enough, Blue has had many a master. Okay, 17 people he trained. Okay, Diantha, Karina, I guess the three random students who are talking with Blaine, Blue, would, I guess, X and Y? And that leaves the room for a lot of people. I wonder who the other people he trained were. And that is a lot of people. Oh, yeah, and Steven. And that's still 7 more people, if that's right. I wonder who else. I would think maybe Red and Green, because their Pokemon should be able to Mega Evolve. I guess we'll see. Yeah, you really got me questioning that. We pick up in Dendemil Town when it's snowing. Is this where Wolfric usually is? Dendemil Town. I don't know. Doesn't seem to be a place for a gym. How do you pronounce this? So, Dandelion and Windmill, Dendemil Town. Yeah, that's about right. Trevor says, it's freezing. Trina says, it's finally starting to snow. Shauna is warming up with Charizard, saying, Blue's Pokemon has a very warm tail. Why? Questions, will Salome evolve into this Pokemon too? X is probably. It's called a Charizard. And the other Pokemon, Rhyperior, is an evolved form of Rhyhorn. Okay. Yeah. Charmeleon looks to Charizard, and Rhyhorn looks to Rhyperior. Shauna says they're both very aware of Blue's Pokemon. Well, Y says, you're right. I can tell they've taken an interest in each other. As Trevor watches Blue's Pokemon, he thinks Blue is kind of intimidating at first, but we can see that his Pokemon are very powerful. It was my Flabebe, Tiernos Corphish, and Shadow's Neko. Well, Skitty. It's as if my Flabebe, Tiernos Corphish, and Shadow's Neko are all inspired by his Pokemon to become as powerful as they are. We then see a Swinub crossing? Or Mamoswine crossing? Or you can ride these Mamoswine? Yeah, you could rent these Mamoswine to ride. That's cool. And I love that Blue's Pokemon are continuing to escort them, but then they end up parting ways as they make their way into the city. Y says, where are we supposed to meet? Trevor says, at the bottom of the large object at 7:50 p.m. He points to the sundial where there are several things on it. As they spot it, Shauna says, is that? Sycamore is being accosted by several Hawlucha. Shauna says, Professor Sycamore, why is he being attacked? Y says, I don't know, but we have to help him. These Pokemon are, X already has his Pokedex out saying Hawlucha. Why? You can concentrate on lowering Professor Sycamore to the ground. I'll take care of the Hawlucha. Y says, got it. She brings out her Absol saying Soul, Psycho Cut, and severs Professor Sycamore's lifeline, causing him to fall. But Frogadier has already made frubbles down below. As he plummets, he drops the device that he had, and Sycamore says, "The wave meter!" But I think Sylvalion catches it, having been brought over by Fletchinder. As the Halucha go in on X racing towards Sycamore, or the Halucha going for Sycamore. Regardless, X brings out his pincer, still with his arms folded, and it just starts aptly dodging the Halucha like it's nothing with its eyes closed. That's insane. Okay, this is the coolest pincer I've ever seen. Trina says, "Wow." Shauna says, "And its eyes are shut too." The Halucha look to each other, nod, and then go diving in formation. Y says, "The four of them are all using Brave Bird." And as they all use Brave Bird towards Pincer, he says, "At the same time." Pincer finally opens its eyes, but in an instant, the Halucha are all attacked. One by Kangaskhan, one by Gengar, one by Quilladin, and another by Manectric. Dude, that is kinda sick. It knew it had nothing to fear. Okay, get in here, Gengar. There's a massive battle going on. As Sycamore is helped out of the troubles by Trevor and Y, he says, "I'm so grateful." He then bows again, saying, "And I'd like to apologize to all of you one more time. Forgive me." Trevor says, "It's okay, Professor. What did you want to talk to us about?" Sycamore says, "Right, about this huge sundial," he says, looking up to it. Y questions, "What about it?" Sycamore says, "It is intimately connected to Mega Evolution. Do you remember the time I fought a Pokemon battle against X in my lab?" X says, "It was a battle between Marisol and Salome." Sycamore says, "Correct. My wave meter recorded an unusual energy wave that day right around the time you were there. And so I recalled that Trevor told me it, and I came to the conclusion that the energy wave had been emitted from the Mega Ring." Shauna says, "Team Flirt was talking about it too." Sycamore says, "Or to be exact, the energy was being emitted from the keystone embedded in the ring. I also discovered an energy wave with exactly the same wavelength as the keystone, and that is the energy wave emitted from this sundial. Is it a massive Mega Evolution stone?" Trevor questions, "Huh? What? You mean?" Y says, "The sundial and the keystone are made from the same thing?" Sycamore says, "That's the only plausible explanation. After what happened, the blooming of the ultimate weapon, the wavelength of the energy emitted from the keystone and the sundial both changed." Trevor questions, "Changed?" Sycamore says, "Right. Ever since I detected the existence of these energy waves, I've been tracking them. Your location sent via the holocaster and the location of these energy waves are always the same. But since the incident, I've been unable to track the location of the energy waves. Look," he shows them his spectrometer, saying, "The wavelength on the top is from before the incident, and the wavelength below is what I recorded just now." Trevor questions, "So?" Sycamore explains, saying, "This is just a hypothesis, but whatever that ultimate weapon discharge must have changed the property of that stone somehow. Also, this energy wave has one more unique aspect to it. Its intensity increased between the hours of 8 and 9 p.m., and it continues to do so even after the incident. Something is bound to happen at 8 o'clock. We'll soon find out more. 30 seconds, 20, 10. Oh, and sure enough, right on time, both X and Y's keystones begin to shine just as Sycamore says it's time. Y says, "X, the Mega Ring." Oh, wait, and the Mega Stones within on each of his Pokemon begin to shine too. Trevor says, "The Mega Stones too. I've seen the Keystones and Mega Stones shine during Mega Evolution, but why now?" Sycamore says, "The Keystones have begun to glow in response to the intensifying energy waves of the sundial, and the Mega Stones are glowing in response to the Keystones." X seems to realize something, saying, "Professor, we've been searching for the Mega Stones to Mega Evolve Absol and Pinsir. We need to find Absolite and Pincerite. Are you saying that we'll somehow be able to find the Mega Stones using these glowing Keystones?" Sycamore says, "There are too many things that are still unclear, so I can't say it with certainty, but there is a strong possibility, and if it's true, it would probably be during the hours between 8 and 9 p.m. Oh, specific times where you can find Mega Evolution Stones. Interesting. Is that that's not when they found the others, is it? When they found the Manectronite or whatever it's called. X thinks for a moment and then says, I want to chase off the Pokemon troublemakers so we can search for the Mega Stone. But the Hawlucha seem to be under someone's command. They're a lot tougher than I thought. Yeah, okay. I thought they'd go down when all of his Pokemon jumped in, honestly. X seems to be worried about something. He says, why? Would you be okay with us breaking the 5 don'ts again? As he takes off his Mega Ring, saying, I'll stay here to protect Professor Sycamore while you go and look for the Mega Stones, okay? Y shouts to X, but X says, hurry. We don't have time. Versus says, I'll take care of it for you. It's Tierna, saying, hopefully the Mega Stones also respond to people who aren't Mega Evolution successors. Y says, but what if you get attacked by Team Flare? Tierna says, Professor Sycamore said he was unable to track us down because the energy wavelength changed, remember? If the enemy is powerful, it would be better for you to stay behind, Y. Even more so if they're going to remove your Mega Ring. So, if it's okay, is it okay if I go and search for the stones? Shauna says, no, Tierney. You mustn't go off on your own. Tierna says, Shauna? Shauna says, so I'll go with you. X and Y look at each other and smile as Y also takes off her Mega Ring. They hand the rings over to Shauna and Tierna, with Y saying, I'm counting on you, Tierna, Shauna. But unbeknownst to everyone else, Essentia is watching as Shauna and Tierna go racing off, with Tierna carrying Shauna on his shoulders. Essentia thinks to herself, they let go of their Mega Rings. I only attacked to get rid of that nuisance. But it looks like luck is on my side. Wait, so she has 4 Hawlucha too? Weird. My duty is to observe and pursue Z. I have orders to procure evidence that it was here and go after it. What should I do? Suddenly she senses something. Saying, huh? I've woken up in a place I don't recognize again. Test subject awakening. Restarting hypnosis. What? Who said that? Am I the test subject? Jurassic said, and then she falls asleep, and then says, AI switch over complete. But unbeknownst to her, Y is overhead with her Fletchinder, saying, I found you. You must be, Essentia. Essentia says, begin risk aversion. Your target is Ivani Gabane. Meanwhile, Tierna and Shauna race off. Okay. So I was worried for a second that Essentia was going to go after those two, but hopefully they're okay on their own. We'll see. Current location, Route 15 Brunway. The path has become popular hangout for wild and directionless use of Lumio City. The Dendamil Town, a rural town where Pokemon and windmills work together to farm the land in a chilly altitude. Route 17, Mamoswine Road. Due to constant snowstorms and heavy snowfall, humans have no hope of traversing this road on foot. So you have to use a Mamoswine no matter what. To Enistar City. Some say the enigmatic device used as a sundial came from outer space. There we go. Came from outer space. Guess we'll see. Okay. This has been interesting. Very, very, very interesting. It sucks that AZ is still captured now that I realize this. But, Xerneas has been caught by Y. But again, like most legendary Pokemon, it's purely circumstantial in how you use it. It's like, you do not command me unless it is plot relevant. That seems to always be the case. Where are the other gym leaders in all of this? I guess they're still I guess they're out trying to, help people and clear their good name and all that. Lysander is in hiding. Malva, hard to tell when she's gonna make her move. It's been all but told to me that she's up to something, but even I could tell she's probably up to something. The scientists are creating some special type of Pokeball? I wonder what that's about. Maybe to try to capture Yveltal? How did Malva get Yveltal to be at her command, though? That's my question. And Blue looking for Zygarde. That is so fascinating. Part of me wishes that it was Looker instead of Blue, but at the same time, still kind of cool. And Blaine's presence, I guess just so we can have you two. But wouldn't Red and Green also show up because of Mega Evolution 2? Or was it because Blue was accompanying Blaine? Because they're both gym leaders. I guess that would also make a bit of sense. And it's been quite some time since we've seen them, so that's also kind of throwing me as well. Just suddenly having them thrust into the story just took me so off guard. It's just like, whoa. Brain had to reconnect. Because I can't stop thinking of how much time has passed. I know timelines are no longer a major thing, but I'm still kind of trying to think, okay, how much time has it been since Diamond and Pearl and the Fire Red and Leaf Green and Heart Gold and Soul Silver? Like, all that's racing through my head now. And Blue has battled Diantha and then caught the Absol and the Pinsir, who almost seem to have just known that it's time to be captured. Like, there is a lot of manifest destiny going on here. I don't know if that's the right term to use, but I'm going to use it. And everyone's being so mature about the current situation. White still kind of chewed out X, but at the same time, it was only because X was kind of being still mopey. And it's always a fascinating thing when X meets someone, especially the people who he doesn't quite like, because even though he obviously didn't like Blue, they still ended up connecting somehow. And it was like, are you friends now, or have you just come to an understanding? Like, that's the thing that I'm trying to kind of process in my mind. But an interesting meeting, all things considered. And I'm glad Diantha is safe. I'd been wondering about that for a while there. But how did Diantha get out of Malva's sight? And what happened that Malva thought she had killed off Diantha? That's what I'm questioning. Why did Malva just assume that Diantha was dead? And what happened to Zygarde? It was just lurking in the shadow of the sundial. Why? What was that about? And then it just disappears. I have so many questions about all that. What's the connection between the sundial and the megastone? And it's not a massive megastone, is it? And if it did come from space, was it fired from the ultimate weapon? I have so many questions, and I like that. I like having questions. It means I'm intrigued by the story. The story continues to be just like, ooh, give me more, give me more, give me more, give me more. So I'm interested to see what happens next. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and hope to see you later. So then, take care. Bye-bye.